Hi students, this is Karimunisa Sayyed, Associate Professor in Zoology from Government Science College, Nuputunga Road, Bangalore. Welcome back to session 47B. In this session, we are going to learn few basic aspects of microtechnique under Zoology paper 4, which includes comparative anatomy, cell biology, immunology and histology. So we shall learn basics of preparation of microsections of tissues for our histological observations under suitable microscopes. So as introduction to cytochemical and histological methods, let us see various types of preparations or mountings which we can make or prepare to observe under microscope. The objects to be studied under the microscope definitely need some preparation, and these preparations are of two types based on the time of preservation. The first type is called temporary mounting because they cannot be preserved for longer period. So in this temporary mounting, the specimens do not need therefore any dehydration or clearing. The tissue or the organism can directly be mounted in the water or in the saline solution or in the glycerin or directly in the stain, and we can observe these specimens under the microscope. Only if needed we can cover it with the cover slip. Otherwise, if the temporary mounting is a dry slide, we can directly observe the preparation under the microscope. So such preparations, temporary mountings, you all must have made and studied, particularly in the squash preparation of onion root tips for the study of mitosis. Similarly, you all must have prepared blood smear for studying various types of blood cells. Similarly, we can also go for the preparation of permanent mounting, where the tissue or the organism should be dehydrated, it should be stained, the organism should also be cleared or made transparent so that we can observe clearly under the microscope. And for the preservation for a longer period, the specimen will be usually mounted onto a slide in a mounting medium called Canada balsam or DPX, and the specimen will also be covered with a cover slip. Then only we'll try to observe this permanent mounting under the microscope. But as the name indicates, such a preparation will have a longer time period with regard to the preservation. So it can be preserved for the longer periods without any fungal infection or the decomposition. Similarly, based on the type of organism or the tissue used, the microscopic preparations can be classified into two types: whole mount preparation and histological preparation or the sections. So in the whole mount preparation, we are going to prepare again a microscopic preparation only, But here we are going to mount the entire organism because the organism will be structurally very small so that light can easily pass through its body, and it will also be very transparent and thin enough to be directly placed under the microscope on a microscope slide. And usually in the whole mount preparations, we may not need the study of finest details or the ultrastructure of the organism. So thereby we study only the structure of unicellular organisms like protozoans or multicellular organisms like coelenterate colonies as whole mount preparations. Similarly, if you want to study microscopic structure of internal organs of usually large animals, we go for histological preparations. So we try to cut these organs into thin sections and we try to differentiate a particular part of the organism from the other parts of the organisms by staining and also by clearing and mounting these sections onto a glass slide. And usually for the purpose of mounting, we use a mounting medium also. Then only we'll be able to observe these histological preparations under the microscope. So this method of preparation of sections of organisms is called histological preparation or microtechnique. So by using the microtechnique, we are able to study the internal structure of any part of plants or animals, and we are also able to locate specifically minute chemical constituents within the cells also. Let us learn few basics of microtechnique step by step. The first foremost step requires sample collection. Based on our need, we may collect cells from centers like plant or animal cell culture, flask or tissue culture labs, or we may collect or isolate the tissues from lab animals such as rodents, fishes or flies. In the case of humans, the sample will be collected either by biopsy or from the blood. The next important step is the sample processing. So prior to microtome sectioning, the sample collected, the tissue material collected is processed which involves further sub-steps like fixation, dehydration, and embedding of the tissue material in wax blocks. During this process, the first and foremost thing required is fixation and preservation of the tissue. Why do we need this process? So this fixation avoids sample damage by natural decay and putrefaction, as it allows prolonged preservation of the sample tissue. But the fixation of the sample requires different timings. So the time required, therefore, for fixation varies from tissue to tissue. And we need to use some chemical compounds as fixatives. We have many fixatives, but most commonly used fixatives include solution of 4% paraformaldehyde, which is famous as formalin, Boyne's fluid, Cornuy's solution, or 70% ethanol. Proceeding further, the sample processing also requires dehydration of the tissue. So after the fixing the tissue, we have to go for dehydration. That means the removal of water. Because we know all the animal tissues made up of lot of water in their cell. So the water can interfere with its preservation, thereby the water is removed from the specimen step by passing the tissue through different grades of alcohol like 50%, 70%, 90% and 100% alcohol. And the period of treatment with each grade of alcohol also depends on the size of the tissue and also the nature of the tissue. That means if the size of the tissue is bigger and also if the tissue is softer, it may require more time. The next step involves clearing. The tissue is then transferred to usually a cedar wood oil for turning the tissue more transparent so that it can easily be viewed under the microscope. Within few days, the tissue turns transparent and the tissues will be usually they are ready for the infiltration. The next step therefore is the infiltration. So what is meant by infiltration? It is the process of replacing oil with the paraffin. So the intercellular spaces are completely occupied by paraffin. So thereby the tissue is washed in the xylol to remove the oil and it is transferred to a covered porcelain crucible which contains xylol and molten paraffin at a ratio of 1:1. We are using porcelain crucible because we are handling molten paraffin. We usually it will be around 60 to 80 degrees centigrade, and therefore we keep this mixture in a temperature controlled bath for 10 to 15 minutes, which will facilitate infiltration. Then the tissue is transferred to another covered crucible containing molten paraffin only. So the time required therefore for infiltration varies again from tissue to tissue. Usually infiltration is completed within 90 to 120 minutes. After this, the sample should be embedded. So during embedding, after the desired period of infiltration, paraffin blocks of suitable sizes are made with the tissues, and care should be taken to avoid air bubbles. And you can see here the paraffin blocks prepared with the tissue. The next step is the sectioning, which is also called section cutting. So the sectioning can be carried out with the sharp razor also. So this is called hand sectioning, but hand sectioning is cumbersome, and also we don't get the uniform sections. Thereby, to have uniform sections of required thickness, usually 5 to 6 micrometers thick sections are obtained by using a special section cutting machine called microtome. You can see a sample being cut on a microtome here. For ultra thin sections as thin as 20 to 100 nanometers, we can also use advanced microtomes called ultra microtomes. So these ultra sections of the cells and tissues prepared by using ultra microtomes can be observed under the electron microscope. After the preparation of the sections, we need to spread the sections. A grease-free slide is taken. On the one side of the slide, a marking is made with the help of a diamond pencil, and a drop of Mayer's albumin is smeared on the marked surface, and over that a drop of thin film of water is put, and over the water the paraffin ribbon with the section is usually put. Then the slide is heated on a hot plate till the section are properly stretched. So the excess of water is drained off and the slide is dried on a hot plate. This process is called spreading. Once the section is spread neatly and dried sufficiently, it is taken for the further processing, that is called staining. Staining, therefore, is the act of giving color to something. There is nothing but the chromogenesis. In the case of aqueous dyes, the specimens are first stained and then dehydrated, because these are aqueous stains. Aqueous stains means stains are prepared in the water. Similarly, we may also use alcoholic dyes. That means the dyes are prepared in the alcohol. So, the alcoholic dyes are usually used after the dehydration. So, the tissue should be dehydrated so that the staining can be done at the concentration of the dyes in which we are going to stain the tissue. Similarly, overstaining can also be corrected by treating the overstained tissue with extremely diluted acid solution or alcohol as per the need and also as per the required time period. But usually it will be followed by immediate washing with water or alcohol. Similarly, commonly a double staining technique called contrast staining technique is usually used, where we use a mixture of two contrasting dyes, usually an acid and a basic stain. For example, mixture of two dyes, each of which stain the different portions of the tissue or the cell are commonly used. These include hematoxylin and eosin. The commonly used hematoxylin stains cell nuclei a purplish blue color, and the depth of coloration is related to the amount of DNA in the nucleus. You can see some of them, they are lightly stained and some of them are darkly stained, indicating differential amounts of nuclear material. Similarly, eosin stains the extracellular matrix and the cytoplasm, and it gives pink color as you see here. So after that, we go for permanent mounting. So adequately thin and properly stained sections are selected from the biological material, and they are required to be mounted onto a glass slide for further investigation under the microscope. So therefore, the main purpose of this mounting media is to physically protect the specimen, as the mounting medium bonds specimen, slide and the cover slip together with a clear durable film. Commonly used mounting medium is DPX, which stands for dibutyl phthalate polystyrene xylene. It is a synthetic non-aqueous mounting medium usually used for its ability to preserve stains, tissues, and also it dries quickly. It will also have refractive index almost similar to that of glass. So after the histological preparation, we use another important technique that is called microscopy in microtechnique. We use varieties of microscopes. We may use dissection microscopes. We may use compound microscopes, which include monocular and binocular microscopes. Of course, all these microscopes, they come under light microscopy because they make use of natural light or the wavelength of the light. And we also have fluorescence microscope. So to observe fluorescent molecules of the cells and tissues, we make use of fluorescence microscope. So we try to generate fluorescent molecules by coupling the antibodies or the proteins of the cells with few molecules called fluorophores. These molecules, they emit fluorescence at specific wavelengths. And to observe these fluorescent of molecules, the confocal microscope, which is a specific fluorescent microscope, is used as it allows us to take 3D images of the sample also with clear resolution. So usually fluorescent microscopes are used to study cell organelles and cell structures. And we also have electron microscopes for the further study of ultrastructure of cells and also the molecules and organelles also. And I am sure you all have heard about two types of electron microscopes, that is scanning electron microscope and also transmission electron microscope. Now, what are the applications of this micro technique or the histology? So, in medicine, usually histopathology is very widely used branch of histology that includes the microscopic identification and study of diseased tissue. So, in histopathology, histological techniques also include not only a technique, it also includes the ability of a person to detect the disease based tissues on the morphological alterations of the cells from the normal tissues. And also, it is the ability to observe keenly the pathogenic agents such as bacteria which reside in the tissue samples. Therefore, histological techniques provide an invaluable diagnostic tool which is routinely applied in clinics to detect diseased tissues such as cancer tissues, neurodegeneration, neurodegeneration, and even infections. Apart from medical field, histology or histological studies are also involved in the field of paleontology, that is the fossil studies, where we call it as a paleohistology, which refers to the study of histology of fossil organisms. But this technique, though it is very well known and widely used technique, has got its own limitations. Why? Because this histological processing or the preparation, what we produce is usually an artifact. That means it is slightly different from the natural state of the tissue, because we are preserving it and we are fixing it and also we are staining it. It differs from the natural state of the cells and tissues. So therefore it is called artifact or a decorative piece. Similarly, the histological preparation does not allow us to observe the living samples in their natural state. Therefore, whatever images or the structures we are going to observe are only snapshots of biological samples at a particular time period of fixation. So only that stage of that living stage of that particular cell or the tissue will be recorded there. That means we are not able to observe the entire process of life there. For example, if you want to study the entire cell cycle, we'll not be able to do. We'll be able to observe only a particular phase like prophase, metaphase, or anaphase. So these are the some of the limitations of these histological techniques and also preparations. So with all its limitation, still even today histological techniques are among the gold standard techniques for the morphological evaluation of biological specimens, particularly the internal microanatomy. So with that, we have come to the end of session. These are the further references. Thank you.